Hey guys, so welcome to Fishing with TR, Cape Hatteras 2024 Day 5. So yeah, I look a little different. My brother told me I wouldn't go wider, so I did. And usually this is a trip we try to make annually, and my wife always tells me when you come back clean shaven. So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. Brother said I wouldn't go wider. I did. And at my wife's request, when I come home, I'll be clean shaven. But Day 5, guys, we went out early this morning and caught a few fish, but today's forecast called for 25 to 27 mile an hour sustained winds. It's here. I mean, this house we're staying at right now, there's furniture moving around up on the deck upstairs, and you can probably hear the wind right now. It is crazy. You know, we're hard up to fish. We always are. And if I'm sitting here at the house drinking coffee, you gotta know the weather conditions are terrible. I mean, if our trucks were out there on the beach right now, they'd be getting sandblasted. But I said I would try to make a video each day that we're here. So here I am making one. And I figure what I would do is just make my favorite beach fishing rig video, particularly for Cape Hatteras. So that's what I'm going to do. Just going to show you two rigs that are my favorite, and show you how I do them and why I do them the way I do them, and maybe it'll help y'all catch some fish. But anyway, guys, here we go. Alright guys, so the first one I'm going to show you is a bottom fishing rig. And you know, I guess you know most of the time you can come to a bait store on the coast and you can buy pre-made bottom rigs. And you know, that's great and they're not too expensive, but my problem with most of those rigs is how much bling they have on them, with the swivels, the snaps, the clamps, the white line. And you know, it may not matter when the water is dingy, but I do notice a difference in how the fish bite when the water is clear. And personally, I think the less terminal tackle you use, the better your bite is. We noticed that the first and second days that we fished. I was fishing with my personal made bottom rigs. I gave that to my brother and some other guys that were fishing with us, and we were catching fish. I mean, we limited out quick on slot drum, fishing with bottom rigs and shrimp, and we were catching black drum one after another, and the folks to our left and our right. I mean, Cape Hatteras is a crowded place, guys, even in the fall, going into winter. Folks to our left and our right, they weren't catching. And did have a guy come over and say, hey, what are y'all doing? And I explained to him that, hey, I'm just making my own rigs, but I'm doing them kind of low visibility, and it was helping us catch fish. And he offered to buy a few. What I do, sold them to him. But anyway, here's what I do, guys. So I'm just using some spare line that I bought for catfish. This is Andy's line. It's 40 pound monofilament. This is their pink, and I often use their pink as a low vis line. Now granted, it is not fluorocarbon, but it is still low visibility line, and it's what I had that was spare. It's what I had that I didn't have to pay anything extra for, so it is what I used. Alright, so here we go. So I've got a piece here, I'm guessing about 3.5 foot long, and what I've got to do is make my two hook loops first. So I'm going to take this piece and make a loop about, let's see, about yay big. So when I pull it tight, it's about 5 inches. What I'm going to do is take this line right here and I'm going to wrap it 9 times. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now fixing to show you the next step, but when I first learned how to make this kind of knot, it said 7, but what I found out is, 7 often failed. 9 is enough. If you can get that middle loop, 9 is enough to work. But what I do is try to find that middle wrap, let's say about here, and I'm going to try to open that loop. I'm going to do it with my teeth. Here we go. Alright, so you see I made a little loop there. So I'm going to take the bottom part of this loop that I've just made and put it through there. Like so. Pull it through. Now I'm going to use my teeth to keep pressure on this knot, on this loop, pull it out. Look at there, guys. So what I've got there is now main line of my leader in the loop. Okay, so I'm going to make a second loop, and then I'm going to show you how I attach the hook. Second loop. So for the second loop, I don't want these two hooks to be right on top of each other, so I will go at least a foot, maybe 18 inches before I start my second loop. Alright guys, we got our second loop. That one is a little smaller than I like, but it will still work. Alright, next step. Okay, so we've got a rig made. Hopefully you can see that, but anyway, we got two loops there. They're going to be for our hooks. So at the top of our pre-made leader, we need a swivel. And I'm just going to use a regular cinch knot to attach it. Swivel attached. Cut off the tag end. Okay. Now at the bottom of our leader, we'll need a way to attach our weight. So I bought just some simple snap swivels. I'm going to attach one of those at the bottom. That way we can put on our 3 or 4 or 5, 6 ounce pyramid weight while we're in the surf. Another simple cinch knot. Okay. Now let's attach the hooks. Now I know everybody has their preference. When I'm surf fishing, I like to have two alt circle hooks. And you know, with these tag ends like this, the way that we've tied them, you have a couple options. You can snip one of these lines, one side of the loop, and tie your hook on, and it will hold. What I actually like to do is leave the hoop intact, run that through the eye of my hook, and then around the hook, and it'll hold the hook just fine. So, okay. So here's my 2 alt circle hook. Just going to run the line through the eyelet, and then run the line around the hook. Alright guys, look, that hook is now attached to our leader. That is ready to catch fish. So let's attach our second hook. Okay, rinse and repeat. Just going to run this eyelet, or this line through the eyelet. Run the hook through the line. And there you have it, guys. A cheap, quick, low visibility bottom leader for fishing in the surf. I believe this helps us catch a lot of fish, guys, that other folks don't catch. But anyway, guys, I will show you the way I make a drum rig next. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so the rig I just showed you catches probably 95 to 98% of the fish that we catch. I mean, most of your surf fishing is going to be for the whitings, the spot, the croaker, the pompano, and you know, those are fun. They fill your cooler, they're good eating. But if you know me, if you follow my channel, I want to catch the big fish. And here at the Outer Banks, you know, here at Cape Hatteras particularly, on the point, it's all about the red drum. And we do catch shark here. When the shark are in the surf, you know, we rig up some metal leaders, and you know, we you know, target them when they're the only thing to target. But here it's all about the drum. So what I'm going to do is, you know, show you how I rig my drum rig, and maybe it'll help you. Hang tight. Alright, just for the sake of having an example, so I've already got my main big fish rod, my main drum rod rigged up, it's sitting over there. So I'm going to use my spare to show you what we do. My main rig is a 12 foot, I don't know, I'm just going to call it a heaver. Here, to be able to reach the second bar where the fish are running most of the time, or if you're out in the point back where the breakers really are, you know, coming together where the fish are feeding on bait, you really got to heave a bait a long way. So I mean, we're talking about casting, you know, 100 yards, 150 yards. You know, some of the guys who are really talented can probably throw further than that. But for this example, I've got a 10 footer here. I've got my spare reel, and what I use is either, you know, 20 pound or 25 pound. Most guys use 20 because you can get more on a reel, and you can get more distance. You know, on this reel right now I've got 25 pound line, high visibility, because when you're rubbing elbows on the point, you got to be able to see where your line is, because you're going to have guys on your right, guys on your left, and you got to kind of see where your line is in relation to theirs. And a lot of time you end up playing musical chairs, you know, after you cast, to make sure that you're not crossing each other. You got to see your line. Now, you end up using a leader that is low visibility to help me catch fish. But this 20 pound line, or 25, it's not going to handle you loading up your rod and slinging either a 6 or 8 ounce weight along with a big chunk of bait. So what we got to do is we got to put a shock leader on this. So that's what we're fixing to do. Alright, so I have run my line through my eyelets all the way through the end, and I've got this, you know, plenty of end here to tie our connecting knot. What we're fixing to do. Alright guys, so what I use for shock leader is 50 pound mono. Now braid is great, but this is going to be connecting with the sand, and braid is not abrasion resistant, mono is. If you hook a shark, braid is not teeth resistant, neither is mono, but mono will give you a fighting chance if that hook gets him in the mouth. So we're going to use 50 pound mono as the shock leader. Alright, to connect these two lines, guys, I'm going to use a double uni knot. Albright knot works great if you know your knots connecting braid to mono, but I don't have good luck using the Albright knot connecting mono to mono, so we're going to use the double uni. So basically I am starting with the two lines in parallel. Of course, my main line is the high vis, over here to my left, and then I have my shock leader, the 50-pound mono, over here to my right. So what I'm going to do is start by taking my shock leader. I'm going to point it this way. I'm going to wrap it about 4 or 5 times. Heavy mono doesn't have to be wrapped quite as many times as lighter mono. So wrap it about 4 or 5 times. I'm going to take that tag in, run it back through the loop, wet it, and I'm going to pull it partially tight. Not all the way tight, because I still need some play. I still need to be able to pull my main line through it just a little bit. And I'm going to come over here with my main line, and I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to do it maybe 6 or 7 times with this lighter line. Okay, and just like with the shock leader, I'm going to run this back through the loop, like so. Pull that a little bit tight. Okay. Make sure you wet it. That's important. I'm going to use my teeth to grab the tag end of the shock leader and hold this end of the shock leader, because I want that knot to cinch up just a little bit. Not too much, because that can damage your main line and cause your knot to fail. But now I should be able to pull these two together and make a nice knot. Look at there, guys. Just like that, we've connected our 2 lines with a double uni knot, and that knot's going to fail. It is not going to fail. Let's trim it. Alright, so I've trimmed both tag ends. Alright, now since this is a shock leader, what I'm going to do is reel this shock leader down into my reel where it is at least the length of the rod, say times 3. So this 10-foot rod, I'm going to put 25 to 30 foot of this shock leader on there. That way when I load it up to cast, the shock leader is taking all of that energy from that bait and that weight, and it will enable me to make a long cast. Again, if I was loading up my main line, it couldn't handle the cast. So let's take care of that. So I'm doing this without help, so you have to forgive me for if it's not perfect. But anyway, I got my shock leader here. And let's reel it down to onto our reel. Alright, so the shock leader is now feeding on. I'm going to reel it several times. And now I've got enough shock leader on there that I can cast my weight and my bait, and it will take the absorption. And also, if I break a few leaders, I still have, or break a few rigs off from shark bites or whatever, I still have enough leader on here that I can retie several times without having to apply more shock leader on here. Next step, guys, is the drum rig. Stay tuned. Alright, getting closer to dark, so I hope you can still see me pretty good. But when I tie a drum rig, of course I need a hook. And this is just an 8/0 Gamakatsu, octopus circle hook. One of my favorite hooks for catfishing and for surf fishing for big fish. Barrel swivel. Sinker slide, and what I like to use on my drum rig is 100-pound monofilament leader material. Now I've got about 12 or 14 inches of leader line here. I'm not going to use this entire thing, but I want to make sure that I have enough to tie my knots. So guys, y'all that are cat fishermen, and I am a cat fisherman 100% through and through. Most of y'all know how to tie a snail knot. I use the simple snail, the quick snail, I guess you call it. But I'm just taking, you know, one end, feeding it through the front of the hook and holding that tag in there, and then I'm wrapping that 7 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm running that other end back through the eye. And what we have there, guys, is a snail knot that will not fail. You know, when I first learned how to tie 2 or 3 different types of snail knots, I thought this one would surely fail at some point. This is the quickest, it's the easiest to tie. The others, certainly I have more confidence in, but this knot has never failed me. Anyway, so we got the hook snail. Next thing we need to do is attach the swivel. Now remember, we're casting for distance. And back home when we're catfishing, we tend to think of a leader needing to be on a Carolina rig, for example. It needs to be at least a foot long, maybe longer, depending on what your application is. But since we're trying to go for distance, we have to have a short leader between the weight and the hook. You know, most of the guys that are out here fishing, they're using almost no leader at all, so that they can get maximum distance. Now, I still feel like you need a little bit of play between the weight and the hook. I just feel like it's a better bait presentation. So what we're going to try to do is create perhaps a 3 to 5 inch leader between the hook and the swivel. Of course, I would put my clippers down. Alright, so I'm going to trim that up so I can make a nice knot. And again, I'm just using a simple cinch knot, guys. It's probably the fishing knot that everybody learned how to tie first. Connecting my leader to the swivel. Alright. And what we have there, guys, is our leader connecting our swivel to our hook, the snail knot, simple cinch knot, and there is going to be a line failure upstream somewhere before this fails. Alright, let's connect it to our main line. Alright, remember guys, this is our shock leader connected to our main line and fed into our reel. So we're going to put on our sinker slide, and this enables you, guys, we're driving on the beach. We're driving on and off, and our rods are stored either in a rod basket or they're in the truck. So we can't have the weight attached all the time. It will beat your rod to death. So the sinker slide allows you to put the weight on when you're fishing and take the weight off when you're not. But anyway, simple as inserting the line. Okay. Now we're going to connect our hook, and again I just use a simple cinch knot here, guys. Heavy line doesn't take quite as many wraps as lighter line does. Usually 4 or 5 will do. That tag in. Okay, we're ready to go drum fishing, guys. I'll show you what the weight looks like. So I just happen to have a 5 ounce here in front of the bucket. Feed that onto my sinker slide, and that's it, guys. So when I sling that out there in the surf, this bait is here, that weight gets lodged into the sand, and then my bait has a little bit of play, which again I think is a better presentation than having that hook right up against the weight like a lot of guys do now. I like a little bit of play in mine, but you know, with that just 4 or 5, 3 or 4 inch leader there, it's short enough that I can still get a lot of distance in my cast. But anyway, guys, I got this one ready, and I'm gonna deploy it tomorrow and hope I catch something big, and I hope I get it on camera for you guys. But anyway, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the surf tomorrow, guys. We'll see you later.